spider has legs and a head, right? The CEO is kind of like a head. Chop off the head, spider's dead. Chop off the legs, spider can't walk, right? So you lose a compartment, spider dead. Lose the head, it's dead. But the starfish, this is, right? So the starfish, I don't know if you guys know, if you chop a leg off of a starfish, the leg's going to walk off and grow into another starfish. They actually had this issue with spiky starfish. It was around Australia, they overfished this specific lowerfish. It was the only natural predator to the spiky starfish. So the spiky starfish exploded all over the reefs and killed all the reefs, right? So they go in the swords and they're like, we're going to chop all the starfishes in half. And so they went and chopped all the starfishes in half, and then I got to double the starfishes, right? So starfishes are a decentralized organism. They have all their internal organs in each one of these arms, right? You chop off an arm, it creates a new starfish. You chop it in half, it makes two starfishes. So this social architecture is an unstoppable social architecture in that sense because it's a starfish. It's like the game of Whack-A-Mole. You can't get rid of it, right? And it breaks people into cells, right? Just similar to like how the human body works. So it's creating cells of people that self-organize, and it's a self-balancing social structure too, which means that it organizes itself. So you really kind of just apply the template and you set precedences, and then let it go, right? So I developed this, started initially developing architecture in 2018, so this is about 4 years on. We've been running it on Nexus to manage our whole team DAO structure for about 6 months, and I mean, as soon as we put it in, it flushed out 4 moles. 4 people that were not with Nexus. There were 4 of them literally flushing right out. Because I developed this in the midst of corruption. I've taken on a lot of corruption, like Harvard Business School guys, Hollywood guys, top tech guys, like Allergan, what's the Akamai, Sony Music. I've seen all the shit. I've seen all the dysfunctional corporations, right? And how little they can get done because of all that dysfunction and because of all these greased wheels and power structures, right? And without a social architecture and really the precedences that come with the social architecture, we don't have decentralization. And we look at all these projects, how many people are investing in a decentralized ICO with a CEO, right? Most people. Because we haven't known anything else, right? And we look back thousands of years, the whole CEO thing is like, we have like the Roman Republic that still had no central leader, but it kind of broke up the powers a little bit with multiple branches. But we really don't have a whole lot of innovation in social architecture. So I kind of took it on myself to, all right, let's figure this out. And I used it actually to take on some of that corruption. And I was really surprised, how well it worked. And in a way, it's like, you don't know what something is until you have a contrast, right? Like you jump in cold water, it's going to be cold. And then you sit in it for 5 minutes, you're like, oh, this is warm, right? Because the body in the senses changes. So when we're in this common social architecture, the whole power channels just becomes normal and it becomes harder to identify. This structure kind of creates that contrast as well, right? And the way that it's designed and the precedences that are set, it empowers people. It becomes a bottom-up structure. But one of the big follies of decentralization is thinking that everything's flat. And what I mean by flat is like a flat model of capability where like, Bob over here may not know what 1 + 1 = 2, but like Bob should be equal to Fred, who knows what 5 × 5 is, right? There's a lack of distinction in the merit and the capability, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? People are just different levels of capability, right? Different levels of skill, or just different levels of evolution. Some people don't want responsibility; they don't have to worry about other stuff. They just want to know that they're taken care of and they can execute what they need to execute. And if they think something's wrong, they can talk to somebody about it and it gets fixed. And they want to go home, be with their family, and not worry about it. And then other people are like, I got to do more. I got to do more with myself, right? And so the foundation of it is creating meritocracy, but it's also identifying half-truths, right, in different social models and finding out how to eliminate the half-lies and combine them together. And that's really kind of the genesis of where this came from. So these hierarchies, the half-truth of the hierarchy is that people have different levels of capabilities. So generally speaking, in an idealistic hierarchy, the guy at the top should care for all the people and be the most capable person to provide that care, right? Responsibility, ability to respond, right? So as you're more responsible, you have more capability to respond. A lot of times in hierarchies, you get incompetence. Because you get an incompetent guy, and then he can't surround himself with competent people to make him look incompetent, so he's got to have incompetent people around him. And then, the greasy wheels, and then it all goes. And then competent people from the bottom be like, yo, hey, what's going on? And be like, oh, no, you can't speak out. I'm going to fire you because you're going to make me look bad. And so that's the half lie, right? The half lie is that it's top down. right? If we look at even spirituality, right? Like, does the high get served by the low, or does the low get served by the high, right? Above, so below, the bottom, public servant, right? That's the essence of it. Coming here to teach, right? The teachers, they don't come here to be worshipped, they come here to teach and help and serve, right? So the half truth is that we need to serve the bottom. There needs to be a bottom structure that can resolve itself, right? And taking into account that there's different people with different levels of capability, and we want to create a clear pathway for those people to ascend up in their merit and levels of responsibility so that the best level of top can become the people that are making more of the higher level decisions. But there's a checking and balancing on every single layer, right? So the foundation of it is utilizing the Fibonacci sequences as well. As you guys know, the Fibonacci is the expansion of energy. If you look at the spiral of a galaxy, or the spiral of a hurricane, that's how energy naturally expands. So the system scales in that way. With three layers, you have 520 people that can operate without any central management, any CEO, any leader, whatever. And then you add layers on top of that. It goes to 10,920, and then just ad infinitum. You can scale it to any level you really want. And it maintains integrity because you don't have this greased power though it kind of comes down. You have this bottom-up structure where if you are a representative of your specific cell group, right, you are accountable to your group. And your group has the vote to decide if you are the representative or not. And that's a quarterly vote too. So when you challenge your issue on court, so it keeps people on their toes, and they have to accurately represent their specific group's needs. And if you don't, then they get voted out and it self-balances. Now, the other part of it is that every cell is designed to create a natural synergy, right? When people resonate with one another, right? We can use music as an analogy. When the piano's in tune, it sounds great. When it's out of tune, right? People are the same way. We all have frequency. We all operate on frequency. So when you put people with frequencies that don't really mix together too well, you're always got this pushing and pulling, right? Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because that's how we learn, but you don't want your fundamental working layer to have that dysfunction, right? You want people in that to be family, to have synergy, right? And so you allow each one of these cells to self-balance and self-organize. But with it being a cellular-based system, you can also detach from any starfish, and start your own starfish or join a new one, or a whole arm can detach itself. And then there's ways to resolve corruption on every layer. So, the structure itself, we're just doing a single branch. And right now we have 3 branches in one MC, three branches of power. Each one of them their own starfish, and then they all check and balance each other. And that's like the Fibonacci sequence there. And then it goes to 5, right? 5 are starfish. And then that forms 5 groups of 8. So like a minimal starfish model, a small organization of 5, right? 5 people. And then they each form their own group of 8, right? The reason it chose 8 is because John David Garcia did a lot of research on social systems and how many people make the best blood, right? And John David Garcia found 8 people is the most creative combination possible, right? So the creative layer of those groups of 8 is kind of like a task modeling. It's a layer that you create these higher level tasks that are derived from the requirements of other people and the higher level strategies that are formed through groups of 5. And then that's passed down, right? So in order to form this group of 8, bottom up structure, let's say we have 5 arms with 8 people in each arm. Those 5 people that represent those arms, the chairs of each arm, have to be voted by their group. And it was really interesting when we put the starfish in, because before, like, we were just kind of pure decentralized, hey, you want to join, you want to help Nexus, come on, here's talk to this person, talk to this person. There's a few people that were kind of like the point of contact, and everybody just knew that's who you contact or whatever. We put the starfish in, and this is like, okay, here's like 10 different things that you could possibly do. Just vote on what you want to do, and then that will be kind of what group you get sent to, right? And then if you don't like the group, just tell me, whatever, we'll move you around. So we modeled them in these 5 groups of 8. Dude, the people that were in power, none of them got voted. Not one vote. Not one vote. So it's really interesting to see. There's this precedent set. Well, oh, that person's in power. Okay, I'm used to people in power. Okay, I'm going to go do the more powerful than that person. But when you change the precedents, right, the social program, it's really surprising what people do, how it changes the dynamic, right? And sure enough, the people that were in power positions that got nominated but didn't get one vote, guess what? They quit now because they were there for power, right? They weren't there to work as a decentralized system focusing on a common goal, right? So it was really in that contrast, it flushed out a lot of that. And then there was, I think, 3 arms had to do their own votes because this one person kept trying to centralize it, and they got voted out, right? And it literally flushed them out. And now, like, these groups are just churning. Every one of them, and they're all their own. It's kind of like they're their own independent organization as a part of a larger organization, right? And so let's start with the 5 groups of people. That's why I was saying that I would have wanted to try to make this a little more interactive, but I feel like we don't have enough time to do that for the full hour. So that's the first part of it. I'm just going to lead a little bit into it. There's another part too that I'm going to cover in this probably a little bit later after I explain the social architecture more. That is legal structures. This one particularly is pertaining to the United States, but there's actually, it's called a private membership association. It's based off of medieval common law. Okay? It came back from the Middle Ages. It started this kind of freedom association, and then it got burned in the U.S. Constitution and case law because they used it to protect their own jurisdiction. So an example of this is Craighead County, Arkansas. Anybody been there? No? Okay. It's a dry county. It's been dry since the prohibition out here. Like, you gotta go to bootlegger if you want to get your whiskey. Black people still stay over there. It's real backwards. It's really weird. But there's bars. You go to a bar in the dry county. How? I signed my name on the list. Yeah, I can go buy a beer. Because it's a private membership association. So in a dry county, totally illegal to buy and sell alcohol. They have bars. Because it's a private membership association, right? What it does is it creates its own jurisdiction public. Okay? So it's not foolproof. You're not going to be like, oh hey, let's go run a drug dealing ring for our PMA, man. Like, because it's based on common law, right? Common law also states like do no harm. Okay? It's like I'm going to go beat this person up. There's a common law protecting that. So the PMAs you have to have 2 things: reasonable discernment and membership, and you have to adhere to some fundamental. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more. But that's another really important part of this because, legal land is cool, right? I was like, yo, bro, but how'd you get sovereign land? It's like, oh, well, when Yugoslavia was falling apart, nobody claimed. I'm like, yeah, that's cool for you, but like, we can't fucking do that. Like, I've looked into starting a country. There's no way to start a country. You either got to have an army, you go take someone's land and hold that land, or you got to find a corrupt government and buy them out. But then, like, they got the army, so it's like, hey, they got some money. Let's go wrap them up a little more. You guys want yourself? Oh, pay up, So there's really no way to do it, except for these PMAs. What you can really do is you're actually protected under their military because they're going to be protecting their lands, but you create your own little jurisdiction bubble within it, right? It's the ultimate anarchist social legal structure, right? We've been looking for this formula a lot, and we're using it to protect ceremonial medicines, naturopathic medicine, and also I'll explain some of the models that you can do with the memberships, right? To also back up and create kind of almost like a legal insurance system too, right? Like naturopathic medicine right now, I don't know if you guys are aware, is under assault, majorly under assault, right? Because the FDA regulates medicine, right? You're under federal jurisdiction. When you put that under a PMA, and your patients become members, and you are a PMA as an organization, out of their jurisdiction, they cannot touch it. That doesn't mean that you're fully protected from executive overreach, but that's where I get into the whole legal insurance system, right? Because you have liabilities operating any type of company. So if you develop your membership model right, you can actually create a multiple-pronged benefit where I'm a naturopathic clinic that pays my membership fee yearly, but like that saves me 10 times the money it would have cost me for dealing with all of the executive overreach or the FDA regulations or dealing with this person or this inspection or whatever else, right? So those are the 2 really important parts, right? So the social architecture, to review, it creates social scalability, right? It scales through aggregation and layers. It's more coherent to the natural order of things. Okay? Everything's in layers, right? But the high serves the low, right? So it creates this type of meritocracy that allows it social scalability, and it creates checks and balances on each layer, right? Where corruption gets contained into smaller sections, right? One thing I learned about corruption, this is the biggest common denominator between all corruption. Corruption loves an audience. Corruption needs to spread its corruption to validate itself, right? So, like cancer, like an infection in the body, isolate it because it wants to spread and destroy everything because it's just so perpetuated in error, it doesn't know anything else, right? So it wants to spread that error because deep down it knows it's within error and it needs to validate its own sense of self and its error through getting other people in the error. Oh yeah, you're corrupt too, man, but I feel better now because I've got a buddy here being a dickhead, and me too, right? It happens all the time. So this actually contains it. And that was the funniest thing about it. these people, like four infiltrators, and they each ended up getting their own arm, right? So they didn't have this little team that they could form, and they just got they got so pissed off that they were in this little group. They didn't have this whole people to preach to, and their algorithm was they like threw a little fit in the group, and then they tried to go to more public groups and then throw a fit there, and then they tried to go even more bigger community public groups and throw fits there, and then I mean, it was a crazy little battle, man. Like every one of them was like, you know, but like. One thing I just want to make clear, the precedent set when you get voted out of a group does not mean you're out of the organization. It just means, you know, you don't vibe with that group, they don't vibe with you, go find a group you vibe with. Or at any time you can choose to leave a group. If you don't vibe with people you work with, or you don't like the specific focus of that arm, you go ask any other group. The only thing is it's a mutual consensus, right? So everybody has to vote for decisions that are made, right? If you want to publish information of what you've been doing in your arm, you gotta have a vote. If you want to bring someone else in the arm, you gotta have a vote. To remove someone from the arm, you have a vote. So it creates this democratic system that contains corruption in smaller cells. So in order to corrupt the organization, you have to have a lot of boots on the ground, and you have to try to corrupt all these different cells. But the system on every layer has a vote. Okay, so if we go down to groups of 13, 8 nodes, groups of 13, 13 are more like working group layers, which means task execute. Right? I don't want to think, I just want to do those types of people. But if you want to think, like, yo, I'm kind of tired of doing it. I'm going to challenge you, facilitator. You know what I mean? At that quarter, and then if you get support, everybody votes you, that facilitator is taken out. Even if they're the chair of the arm, at the very top of the stack, they get pulled all the way back to basement because they're fundamentally accountable to their peer. So no matter how high you go, you're always accountable to your base, right? And that creates this new feedback. Yes, any questions you guys have, this can be interactive, so just interrupt me at any time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just wanting to get a little more context. So
Absolutely.
like, what are these groups doing? This kind of sounds like a freestyle idea, but like
whatever, it's a template. So this is a template architecture, right? I'm not going to say, like with us, we have developers and we have developers, those branches. Ambassadors have interactions, impressions, communications, media, and what's the last one? So we broke up into 5 main groups just for like promoting Nexus. Ambassadors are relationships, like Phil over the booth is a part of relationships. They have their own budget, they have their own autonomy. I can't tell them what to do. They do their own thing, they have their own vote, and they have their own chair, right? So relationships took their budget, and they're like, yeah. I was like, hey, dude, it's like, you want to booth it? And they're like, yeah, they figured it all out, and they rolled and stuff. Totally on it. And what's really cool is that you capture the essence of decentralization, which is like, centralization does not scale. Okay? Like, everybody has, the only reason centralization is really used is because of power. You just don't derive power unless you have other people's energy to harness, right? You know, power is almost a belief in somebody's, as you know, and that people are impressioned by that specific individual, and then that blows up that individual's perception of self, and all these bad things happen, right? So think of it as kind of a template, right? Where you take these 5 arms, and I'll give you some of the processes, which is kind of like code, right? So you can see it kind of like a blockchain too, right? It's a template, it's a code, it's a protocol that you can put anything into, right? And what you really do is when you create an organization, you can create your PMA, right? We're working on some legal framework templates as well. So, you know, membership agreements, all of the legal footwork, paperwork, all the ins and outs, because you have to do it in a specific way. You don't do it just right, like they can't hear something, right? And that's one thing that they do to make it difficult for us. Because you guys know the creature from Jekyll Island, right? You know, the country club. And cops don't go there. You know that? Why? PMAs, right? They have no jurisdiction. So PMA actually literally outside of county, state, federal, all jurisdictions, right? They cannot pierce it. Doesn't mean the feds can't come in and raid you, but it means when you get to court, you have precedence and legal standing to sue the shit out of them, right? Through executive overreach, or you can just get the case thrown out because you have supporting case law along with it. It's also protected under the First and 14th Amendments, right? Privacy, and it roots back to the legal common law. So that's another thing that it's not fully mature here as far as the legal documentation. We're going to be, I'll give some links that I'll be providing for you guys. You'll be able to check on periodically for getting those templates. But that's one thing that we want to provide is like, okay, here's a PMA template pack. Go take it, change some of the words, add your membership agreements, fire up your PMAs. Now, here's one really cool part about PMA, right? Everybody's talking about intentional communities. Everybody wants to live off the grid. Everybody wants to get away out of the system. But you're still in their jurisdiction. Jurisdiction-free city-states, anyone? Right? Popping up everywhere. Like, what are they going to do? Can't do nothing, right? And the beautiful thing about it is, it's their back door. They created the case law. protecting themselves and their teammates. So now we flip that right back on. Right? They've been utilizing this for a long time